I'm not gonna lie, guys, I was completely shook when I came across this one last night. I don't know if these two are related, this one that I'm linking the comment to here, but they are two documents from confidential human sources reporting some really serious allegations to the FBI. So I'm gonna need everybody's help on this one. Let's jump in. This one's from October 19th, 2020. The confidential human source was asked by the handling agent about information he or she may be aware of related to improper domestic or foreign influence over the electoral process in the United States. The source has already provided some of this information documented in previous reports, but he or she expanded on several matters described here. First, Harvard professor Alan Douchebag. The source learned that Douchebag influenced many students from wealthy families. For example, Josh Kushner and Jared Kushner were both his students. Douchebag told the source that if he were young again, he would be holding a stun pew-pew as an iCountry intelligence agent. The source believed Douchebag was co-opted by the iCountry and subscribed to their mission. The source still continues to communicate occasionally with Alan Douchebag. Epstein was represented by Alan Douchebag. The source remembered Douchebag tell Alex Acosta that Epstein belonged to both U.S. and Allied intelligence services. The source shared phone calls between Douchebag and Epstein during which he or she took notes. After these calls, Mossad would then call Douchebag to debrief. Epstein was close to the former prime minister of the iCountry, Ehud Barak, and trained as a spy under him. Barak believed that Bibi was a criminal. Saudi Arabia, the iCountry, the UAE are allied against Qatar, Turkey, Iran, and Syria. The source became convinced that Epstein was a co-opted Mossad agent. Marsha Drakova, based in Silicon Valley. She has been running a firm called Day One Ventures, which is supposedly an early-stage investment company. She used to be Russian President Vladimir Putin's main contact in the Russian youth movement. Marsha said to the source, "You knew Epstein, didn't you?" And she referred to him as a wonderful man. He said it was a crying shame what had been done to him. The source concluded that her company was in Silicon Valley to steal technology. Next up, this is where it starts to get really interesting, guys. The source advised Chabad is doing everything they can to co-opt the Donald Trump presidency. Chabad is basically state-sanctioned Judaism. It is used by Putin to keep tabs on all the Russian Jewish oligarchs. On the day that Trump was elected, Ivanka and Jared were at the gravesite of Rabbi Shearson, who was the most powerful rabbi in the Chabad network. Jared didn't disclose his stake in Cadre because of its ties to the Russian state. The source believed this was the real Russian collusion story. Kushner has moved a lot of Russian investment money around. The FBI should investigate Kushner's family charities to find evidence of corruption and money laundering. Chabad routinely uses charities to launder money. Then the source provides an article about Jared's dad, Charles Kushner. It highlights and documents the deep ties between the Kushner family and the iCountry and their history of corrupt business practices and alleged violations of election laws. The source stated that the FBI needs to look closely at Ken Kurson, who knows everything about the Kushners' relationship with that country. Next, we have Harry T. I'm not even going to try to say the last name. Has been involved and developed Trump hotels and is a billionaire. Harry bought his Beverly Hills home from Donald Trump at an inflated price. Harry claimed that Donald Trump told him that he was going to, quote, fuck Amazon over their military contracts. The source advised that this was a real collusion story. Trump has been compromised by the iCountry, and Kushner is the real brains behind his organization and his presidency. Next, Igor Korbatov brokered the sale of a Beverly Hills mansion Trump acquired for $800,000 less than the market value. The deal included many facets that don't add up, and the deal warrants further scrutiny, and investigators should follow up on numerous oddities and red flags in this series of transactions. After season 1 on the West Coast, The Apprentice moved back to New York. Chump never lived in the Beverly Hills mansion. In the summer of 2009, he sold the home for $9.5 million, $800,000 less than the previous year's price. The sale was in cash. Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, filed the legal papers for the shell company involved in the mansion's purchase. Then the source mentions Rex Tillerson and his wife, Renda Tillerson, who claimed that Jared Kushner at the time was running a rival State Department operation. Rex affirmed Renda's claim. Renda and Rex told the source that they had both been under intense surveillance. She can't wait for the FBI to call her to tell them everything she knows. Then the source says, according to Jed Sugarman and Whitney Webb, that Leon Black owns the mercenary firm formerly known as Blackwater, now Constellus, which has been accused of being involved in several arms and human trafficking scandals. Black is also the CEO of Apollo. The New York Times noted that Black inexplicably stood by Jeffrey Epstein, recently giving him $50 million. Apollo also lent the Kushners $184 million while Kushner was facing his 666 Fifth Avenue disaster. Next, the source mentions Elliot Broidy. He recently pled to charges related to money laundering, unregistered lobbying for the UAE. Broidy had previously paid a former Playboy model over $1 million to stay quiet about an affair that he had with her. Broidy allegedly successfully lobbied to increase U.S. sanctions on the government of Qatar. The source advised, since Broidy was purportedly the largest fundraiser for Donald Trump, he apparently used his access to Donald Trump to lobby. Joel Mowbray, who was in Broidy's inner circle, the source claimed was an unregistered lobbyist. The source said that he was one of the, quote, shiftiest people the source had ever encountered. Last, the source emphasized the importance of the FBI investigating Gawker for its involvement in pushing Russian propaganda. Matt Mellon had told the source that after Gawker was destroyed, Russian intelligence service started using Zero Hedge to influence U.S. people. So there you go, guys. This confidential human source is letting the FBI know about possible Russian collusion and about how Jared Kushner is allegedly the actual brains behind the operation of the presidency.